Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, we'll be talking about a powerful storm system that I made a few videos on in the past. It is now underway. It has pretty much started its rainy regime. Pretty impressive. Some of the rain totals that it has already dropped, especially across Wisconsin, into portions of Minnesota, and into portions of extreme northern Iowa. So it is already well underway. There is a powerful system, as I mentioned, and it will continue to be dropping rain and many sorts of different types of potentially severe weather, like hail, wind, possibly some tornadoes. I think there was one in southern Wisconsin, south central Wisconsin, but it wasn't any, no record breaker. But tornado is a tornado nonetheless. So before we get into this, if you guys are new to this channel, it's your third or fourth video, or if you're just not subscribed, consider doing that. It helps out a ton with this channel, helps it grow. Obviously, it's just an option. I'm not forcing you to, no one is. And if you could like the video, if you enjoyed the video, that's awesome. If you have any comments or concerns, leave them down below, as I answer pretty much all the comments, or at least I read all of them. I answer a good majority. All right. Let's get on with this and let's start talking about this storm. So first off, let's take a quick glance at what the National Weather Service map is showing. Notice, in terms of this storm system, we do have some special weather statements. A few areas of severe thunderstorm watches, which are in the pink. You can see right there, severe thunderstorm watch there. And in those oranges, amongst those pinks, those are warnings, right? So the watch is kind of telling you where there could be severe weather, and it's telling you that there's a possibility the environment is friendly for the severe thunderstorms, and when you have a warning, it's imminent, and you should be preparing for its danger, or just staying indoors and avoiding it. Many people get severe thunderstorm warnings during the year. It's nothing too incredible, but still, not. It's important not to undermine the danger they can carry. So if you were to take a look at them, none of them are, say, massive hail, huge winds, but they are definitely severe. So notice 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's not too strong, right? It definitely could cause some damage, and the hail threat is less than 3/4 of an inch, so that's below the severe weather criteria. But nonetheless, it is with torrential rainfall, and that's the bigger threat, I would argue, especially across Wisconsin. Some of these locations here have been seeing rain just day after day, wave after wave. And wait till I show you some of these rainfall totals. If we were to take a glance at the rainfall, notice this is the past 72-hour rainfall. And let's actually go to 48 hours, and let's limit it to the past, 48 hours. Notice there has been rain across Iowa, Nebraska. Some totals have been high, but rather isolated, not widespread. But 4 inches, 5 inches nonetheless is a lot. But then look at Wisconsin. Look at that. Milwaukee, Madison, potentially La Crosse, right? A lot of rain, and across a very large area. Anywhere above that red, or in that red, that's 2 inches and above. Anywhere in that bluish purple, that's 3-4 inches, and in some of the highest areas, it's over 6 inches, over half a foot of rain. And there's more on the way, so definitely a lot of rain. Notice not much across Illinois, really, eastern Iowa, or even much of Iowa into Missouri, but it is starting to get active, and we will start seeing storms kind of plow through. Notice this is pretty much 2 days rainfall, and we could limit that to the past 3-hour rainfall. And notice there are some storms firing up across Illinois, more again across Wisconsin. So yeah, they have been dealing with a lot of rainfall, and at this point it's a bit too much of it. So again, as I mentioned, the storm is powerful, it's dropping a lot of rain, and it will continue to do so for the next several days. It's rather slow moving and complex, with many outflow boundaries, many cold fronts, many waves of precip, many short waves, definitely a lot of activity. And I do want to quickly take a look at the radar of what is going on currently. So if we were to take a glance at the radar, as I mentioned, notice there is again that activity across Wisconsin occurring quite intensely, especially across central Wisconsin. Look at that, Madison, just north of Madison, in the line of severe potentially thunderstorms, very, very, very heavy rain. A lot of these areas have already seen 3 to 4 inches, and with that, thunderstorm, you could get an inch of rain easily out of that. And notice that it is spinning away into northern Wisconsin and dragging a cold front to the northeast. Notice across Illinois there is a little kind of spare thunderstorm. And it's just pretty much by itself, but definitely, some heavy rain with that. There's a cold front right there, or sorry, it's continued line of these storms. It's also shifting to the north. There is quite some development going on right now across central Illinois. Again, this will continue to shift to the north and east. Indiana, Illinois, I will potentially gain in on this. Notice, again, these thunderstorms may not be severe. Some of them, as you saw, were wind warned, as there could be some strong dust, but mainly the heavy rain there out of that. And that's good. You know, a lot of locations need the rain. Maybe not too much at once, but an inch of rain on semi-dry soil, not all at once, it really shouldn't cause flooding. The worst problem is, you know, when you have an inch already on top of just saturated soils. That's where it becomes an issue. So for now, definitely active. The radar yesterday was just blossoming. I remember. I mean, it was all across Wisconsin all day, and I remember that looking at the end today when I saw the rainfall totals. Yes, they're very high, but I wasn't too shocked. I mean, it was there for most of the day, rain bands. And yeah, notice how in the morning it was kind of quiet, and then now it's kind of blowing up with activity again. And we'll continue to see that as we push towards the evening hours. Okay, let's take a glance now. I do want to mention, by the way, there is a bit of rain across Montana, which is very good news, where they need it to dry the wildfires. That is definitely causing a bit of relief, which is good, but, you know, that's just not awfully too much of that rain. Hopefully there would be a bit more. And it's going to continue to bring showers into Montana, eventually into the North Dakota area. So let's take a glance now at what's to come. This is the European model. I think it does a very good job of showing what's to come. Notice there's our low pressure system. That's actually one of many of the kind of low pressure pieces to a bigger storm, which is kind of, it will be a bit more apparent later on. Notice, right, today we have those showers across Missouri into Iowa. Notice that it does fire up quite viciously as we pushes into the overnight hours into Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, again seeing additional rain, so that's not really good news. Notice Michigan right there, boom, more and more rainfall, several waves. These will be impossible to check out one by one, each and every single one, but definitely it will be just something to keep an eye on for on the radar and on the local National Weather Service offices. Notice little bands. These are now moving to the north. And you can see right there, we have that piece of energy that is bringing rain across Montana. It does bring some rain into the Dakotas. And notice it does develop into very strong low pressure and very strong winds to the south of that. That does bring, again, that cold front through the Midwest. Notice, look at that Thursday, Wednesday, a lot of showers occurring a bit towards the east now into Michigan, Ohio. Still some redevelopment across Wisconsin. Look at that giant cold front right there, or a giant line of storms potentially into Thursday, early Friday morning, and it finally pulls away. So again, there's going to be several low pressures, but the biggest one kind of formulates once it pushes out of Montana, this piece of energy, which is bringing in rain right there, right now. And notice as we pushes into Tuesday and into Wednesday, look what happens. It's right there, stays, it starts spinning, and again, it drops that potentially powerful line of storms, and it finally moves away. But, you know, that's for the Midwest. It does continue to bring rain and showers towards the east, the northeast, and then you could pretty much call it a quits, and the storm kind of dies off, and we see new systems moving in. Yeah, that's kind of the end of the regime of that system. If you're to take a look at the total accumulated precipitation just from that storm, it's quite a bit, and it's quite profound, especially if you're to take an area like Wisconsin that already has 6 inches in some areas. You add another 3 to 2 inches. That's definitely a bit of concern, but notice Illinois, Iowa, they need that rain. That's going to be good. Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, definitely picking up on some additional rain from that system, and it does eventually, as I mentioned, reach all the way into the northeast, dropping some rainfall. But again, they have been seeing also quite a bit of rain on the coastal areas. Look at that right there. Richmond, potentially up to an inch of rainfall. That's just a random location I clicked on. Just a bit west, there was quite a bit more. So again, it's a rather wet pattern, and this cold front from this system will kind of continue to allow those conditions to flourish, those wet conditions. And as we push this forward, notice across South Carolina, North Carolina, we do see additional rainfall from tropical disturbances, which, again, if you've read the news, it is getting pretty darn active out there, so we'll have to definitely watch that. And look at all the rain potentially across the Southwest into Arizona, Nevada, Las Vegas. Look at that, 1-2 inches. That's definitely good news. And the models have been a bit inconsistent about this, but hopefully, you know, that becomes a truthful statement, as they really need those rainfall amounts right there across where the reservoirs are pretty much at their lowest right now. The GFS, I would say, is a bit more inaccurate with this low pressure system. It's has a harder time kind of dealing with it, but notice it does show that rainfall into today, tomorrow, into this is now Tuesday morning. Again, this is probably underdone. The thunderstorms will be a bit more vigorous than what it's showing here, but nonetheless, it does show those waves. It does show that low pressure forming, and potentially, again, just multiple waves of showers, storms, and maybe even, again, that cold front developing. Maybe not as strong as what the Europeans showed, but look at that. Some nasty storms potentially developing along that line. As it pushes towards the north and east, we have a kind of a second low pressure developing along that cold front, and that, again, brings showers and storms, but finally moves out, and we start seeing a bit of a dry out period. Notice not as much rainfall, a bit drier, and we do see bigger and nastier storms moving in, but from the south. Again, that could be in the form of tropical storms or hurricanes. And look at that right there, getting more active again. You know, it's constant. We see storm after storm. That's usually during the summer. We see these little short waves, little upper level lows. Anything could pretty much trigger a powerful thunderstorm. So something to watch for. And notice that we have a potentially very big one in the long range developing. So, that's definitely something to watch for. But for now, we're dealing with this guy, and it does finally push away. You can see very vividly on this map right there. Look how strong that is at low pressure. Very powerful. And again, right now, the main energy for that is still sitting across Montana, but it is starting to show its act, and it's definitely getting its stuff put together, if you will. So that's what the GFS shows in terms of total rainfall from this model. It's definitely quite a bit as well. Notice there are some differences, maybe not as much into Wisconsin as the European showed, but more towards the east into Pennsylvania, New York, more mid-Atlantic, which is good news. They would need that more than potentially where 6 inches of rain already fell across Wisconsin. It does show a bit less for the Southwest, the GFS, at least for now, but notice towards the long range, it really does blow up with a lot of precip, especially across the south. Notice some of these amounts, 6, 7, 8 inches, definitely aided from moisture from the tropics. Mexico continued heavy rains into New Mexico, Arizona as well. And hopefully some of these rain amounts get a bit more impressive, as that's where they need a lot of that rain. But again, look at that. Most of that comes in past of kind of the first half of the month, which at least there's kind of potentially some light at the end of the tunnel. Notice southern Canada, also very bad drought and hot this year. They could be also in for some rain at the end, so that's definitely good news. But the Northwest, it's drying out. Unfortunately, not much rain, and they will be very dry, so not every area will see the relief they need. This is now the Canadian model. Let's go on Tropical Tidbits to look at the Canadian model, and let me show you what it shows with this system. Notice there's our waves of storms. This is 1 p.m. tomorrow. This is 7 p.m. This is 1 a.m. This is 7 a.m. Tuesday, and people are like, slow down and show us the timing of this exactly. The thing is that it's very hard to predict these. Sometimes you could be a few hours ahead or behind a schedule, and that affects the next wave, and that affects the next wave. It's kind of like a domino effect forecast, and that's why it's very hard to predict, and it's pretty much useless to show when exactly you'll be seeing rain. Just stay up with the date or with the weather. Check your eyes or check the radar with your eyes. Obviously, keep your eyes to the sky and make sure you're just very observant and keeping an eye on the situation as it's constant changing, and it's really hard to predict pretty much 1 to 2 days out of what's exactly going to happen, other than the fact that there's rain expected. So notice again, there's our cold front at the kind of the finalist finale of this storm. That once it develops, the GFS and European and Canadian agree on that. And again, the Canadian does develop a low pressure as it pushes off towards the northeast, secondary low pressure, and that does bring some rain into the northeast. But look, further across the southwest, there's showers, and look at the south, the tropics getting active, and potentially some sort of a tropical disturbance moving in. Definitely could be impactful. And look, we have a cold front that meets with that, so there could be again more precipitation and storms in the long range. But just from this storm's rainfall amounts, so let's stop at hour 150. Notice mainly favoring Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Iowa. Definitely quite a bit of rain. That is good. The purple amounts are 2 inches plus, which is quite a bit. Again, there will be definitely amounts in here that reach over 6 inches again, but there will be probably locations that get only an inch, maybe even half an inch. But even in that blue, that's decent amounts of rain. And again, that does favor southern Canada as well, southeastern Canada, I should say, and potentially the inland northeast, where they are a bit dry. So they do need some of that rainfall as well. Notice decent amounts for the southwest. And if we were to put an additional 100 hours on it, it continues showing that rain, especially right there if that tropical disturbance would occur. So that's the Canadian GFS and European. Again, this system is multi-day, many different chances. I do want to show you for more detailed a relatively good model, and this is the FV3 high res. It's a high res model. It goes out to 60 hours, so not very long, but it does show with more accuracy what could happen. So this is 4 p.m. today, which is when I'm recording this video. This is 5, 6, 7. Again, it's a bit I'm too excited about these storms probably, and it's not going to be as intense. But nonetheless, notice it does show some precipitation, right? Notice how during the overnight hours it dies down, but during as soon as pretty much the sun rises, it starts getting more active, and towards the afternoon it peaks. Right there, notice into Michigan, Ohio, definitely some rain chances, some storms. The exact orientation of this, you can see it kind of develops it beyond the Chicago, Indiana area border and more into Michigan. Some models show it developing a bit earlier, some a bit later. So I'm just using that as an example that it's constantly changing, and we'll just have to wait and see. Notice, there's our low pressure energy. It does bring some showers and storms into North Dakota and northern Minnesota tomorrow. And this is now Tuesday. And notice that some storms were occurring across similar areas, again, across Wisconsin and maybe Kansas, Missouri. So a lot of day-to-day chances. If we were to take a look at the NAM 12KM, it shows very similar features. Again, the timing it disagrees on with the FV3. For example, look at that right there. It shows a cold front late Monday to Tuesday across northern Illinois versus the FV3 didn't show that. So again, these differences make a big deal, or make they may be small, but they make a pretty large impact. And notice, again, more showers right there on Wednesday. Now this is into Thursday, and this is as far as the NAM 12KM model goes. And if you're to take a look at the total accumulated precip, again, favoring kind of Wisconsin, Iowa, northeastern Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, northern Indiana, and Illinois, and potentially Ohio, and much of Michigan into Missouri, though chances are there as well. And if you're to take a glance at potentially other models like the RGEM, a high res of the Canadian, it's just loading in its most recent run. So let's go back to the prior one, favoring very similar locations, but again, a bit more random, and each model has its differences. This is the HER model, a very high res, short range model, and notice that it does too favor similar areas as the other models, and some areas a bit more than others. You could see the other models weren't as excited for southern Illinois seeing rain as this one is. So potentially this one could have a pattern again that is the start of something new that the other models will pick up, or it's just an outlier. And again, that type of deciding is just useless, because it's all kind of irrelevant, because even if the model is correct or wrong, it's just too tedious, and it's just people get lost and it gets boring. So that's why I'm just informing you that there's some rain chances. Potentially, even if you're not expecting, if the forecast says 30% chance of rain, you still may be seeing again within that 30%, and you may get blasted by a big thunderstorm, or it may be forecasted for 30%, but it turns out to be way more active. The National Weather Service isn't always perfect. And notice that today, right now, this is what we have going on currently across the United States, and we do have these showers and storms firing up. A hefty line going right through St. Louis, about across the Mississippi, did further to the north. And in Wisconsin, again, we have the storms developing. Look at that one right there in northern Illinois. Little cell went just to the north of me. Did not bring rain, unfortunately, but that is okay. Notice there are more chances to the south. All right, that is basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next episode. Again, stay safe. They will be hot across many locations. Again, that kind of goes back to that hot pattern that I made a video about yesterday and days prior. So definitely stay safe with that. You could see heat advisory for many locations, and you can see up to 109 across the northern Missouri area, which is a lot. And further across Texas, it's going to be hot. They have a heat advisory there. You could see that 93, I think that's more to do with the levels of humidity combined with just the 93, because the 93 itself isn't that impressive. Yeah, look at that 108. That is very that's going to be muggy and dangerous for anyone that works outside. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.